With the rapid growth of Agile and Scrum implementation across the world in many companies, Scrum has become corrupted to a point where it might not even be savable. If you look at where it all started, it started with a brilliant idea. Everyone in the Scrum team working together in a sprint, usually 2 weeks, to achieve an attainable sprint goal. The expectation was that the team would self-organize, self-manage, decide what to build, how to build it, who builds it, and by when to build it. Succeed together, fail together, learn from their failures, experiment with the goal of maximizing value for the customer. Collaborate together to maximize value. Build something beautiful. But if you look at the way Scrum is being implemented and used now, the people side of things is completely gone. If you start seeing frameworks like SAFe topping the market in terms of usage and sales, you already know that there will be some rough years coming. Again, it all started with the daily scrums being a meeting for the developers, by the developers, for them to collaborate, work together to craft a plan for the day. What will we do in the next 24 hours to progress towards the sprint goal? That's where it all started. But if you look at what people are doing in the daily scrum now, it's a status meeting. People are fixating on Jira. The most important part of a daily scrum is ensuring that your user stories, your tasks are moved across the board. How many tasks have you got done in the sprint? Are your tasks moving across the board? That's the most important thing. Fixating on Jira, your scrum board. Who is moving what is like fixating on the amount of lines a developer is writing every day and considering that as a productivity metric. The result, people start taking easy user stories so that we can clearly see things moving across the board. Complex user stories are kept for after. At the end of a sprint, we'll take the complex user stories and we already know the result. The complex user stories are complex for a reason. Picking up these user stories at the end of a sprint greatly increases the chance that we won't be able to complete these user stories. But I can't take it at the beginning of a sprint. What if this user story gets stuck in the work in progress column? I might be punished, shamed because of it. It's better if I pick up the easy user stories to appear productive. Teams were expected to be self-managed and self-organized, deciding themselves, improving themselves, managing themselves, and as a team. Are teams doing that now? Or is the focus on improving velocity each and every single sprint? We should be doing 100 points. You should be doing 10 points. Individual metrics. Meeting unrealistic deadlines. Deadlines being forced on the team. A manager somewhere telling the team what to focus on. You need to build this. You need to meet this deadline. Are we even checking if we are maximizing value? What the customer thinks about the product? Are we developing the right things? No, we're focused on metrics. Going faster. Making sure that people are efficient, productive, constantly, 24/7. And then there's this concept of story points. Not mentioned in the Scrum Guide 2020, but most teams, I rarely see a team that doesn't use story points. Story points, the concept is really simple. It's a unit of measure. A product backlog items, all the things that are required to implement this product backlog item. How do you estimate that? You can use story points, which takes into consideration effort, complexity, risk, and uncertainty. Yeah, the concept is really good, but is it being used correctly? Teams, again, are focused on ensuring that they are achieving the same amount or more velocity every single sprint. The focus is velocity. Let's take easy user stories. During the sprint planning, let's take some easy tasks, easy user stories so that we can keep up with the velocity. Let's fake the estimations so that we can keep up with the velocity. What about the customer? What about working on priority items, even if these priority items are complex? The customer is now irrelevant. We don't care about the customer. What we care about is pleasing these managers, delivery managers, upper management, the directors, the project managers, looking at these metrics, refreshing Jira every day to see if we are keeping up with these metrics, updating Jira correctly. The most important thing we need to do at our work, what we will be judged on the most to get that bonus at the end of the year. Did we meet our commitments? Are we estimating correctly? Are we planning correctly. Let's not take too many stories in a sprint because we might not meet our commitments. Really good idea. You shouldn't be overcommitting. But the result? People are trying to game the system, overestimate some tasks, picking up easy user stories just to meet this commitment of a sprint, of a quarter, of even a planning that we're doing every year. Gaming the system, the customer, irrelevant. Our goal is meeting metrics, ensuring that the metrics look good. Honestly, take a step back and think about it. Leaders, managers, upper management, directors in your organization, what do they believe is the most important? Meeting deadlines, ensuring that we are meeting our commitments, planning, estimation, or satisfying the customer. Value, maximizing value for the customer. If you're honest, 99% of you'll pick this one. Planning, metrics, estimations. Something isn't right. And what about the Scrum Guide? The latest version of the Scrum Guide, the Scrum Guide 2020. We are in 2023. 10 years ago, it might have been okay to release a guide every 5 years. But now, 2023, things are changing so fast that you need to be up to date. Keep up with the pace. Be consistent with releasing the latest versions of the Scrum Guide. And the problem with the Scrum Guide is that sometimes everything changes. Remember the 3 questions that we were asking in the daily Scrums. Some people still use that. What did I do yesterday? What will I do today? Any impediments preventing me from achieving my goals for the day? No longer in the Scrum Guide. The Scrum Master in the Scrum Guide started as a manager, telling people, making decisions for the team. So things that you're doing right now, following the Scrum Guide, might become anti-patterns in the next version of the Scrum Guide, which will most probably come out in 5 years. But the thing I really don't like about the Scrum Guide is the lack of details concerning the pre-work, what we do prior to the development. The designers, business analysts, the product owner. Yeah, the focus is really on the developers. Development is extremely important. But what about the other people? How do we optimize their work? How do we make them more effective, more efficient? Not talked about in the Scrum Guide. And that's the trend. That's where we should be going. But you might tell me the Scrum Guide is becoming less and less prescriptive. That's good. There's nothing wrong with that. Let the team self-organize, self-manage, find their own way of working, experiment with things, fail, learn. That's all good. That's where the Scrum Guide, if you look at the past, all the updates, less prescriptive. But is it a good thing or a bad thing for the Scrum framework? Why do most people, most organizations implement Scrum? Because they have a guide, a one-size-fits-all guide telling them what to do. Exactly what to do. They don't know anything about agility, about Scrum. They can just follow the guide and implement it. The prescriptive nature of Scrum, that's why people implement it. So becoming less and less prescriptive might be the thing that fails Scrum, and people will start navigating towards. People are already doing it. The most popular framework now, SAFe, not Scrum. Why SAFe? SAFe is very prescriptive. Tells you exactly what to do. People don't want to think. They want to be told what to do. But what's the solution? For me, the solution is very simple. Forget about the Scrum framework. Go back to Agile. The Agile Manifesto, the principles, the values, this way of working. Use that to craft your own way of working. You're self-managed, right? Self-organized. Competent people. Get the help of your Agile coach, of your Scrum Master to implement your own system. Business, very competitive now. Changing fast. What will give you this edge compared to your competitors? Using the same Scrum framework that everyone is using, one-size-fits-all Scrum framework, or building your own system that works for you. This will give you this edge. And you can easily do that with the help of a Scrum Master, of an Agile coach. But always go back to the Agile Manifesto. Build the system with the principles, with the values in mind. Go back to the basics, to the customers, collaboration, building an environment of feedback, of psychological safety, of experimentation. Forget about the metrics. Focus on the customer. Why do you even need to plan? Estimate the work, quarterly planning, yearly planning, all this metrics, velocity. You know the priority, right? What's the most important thing that you need to build right now for the customer? Build it. But we need to estimate it. No? Build it. But we need to plan it. When will we release it? No one cares. Competent people, highly skilled people in your team are working on that top priority. That's their only focus. The amount of time it takes to do this job doesn't change if you estimate the work, if you plan the work or not. It doesn't change the same amount of work. Everyone is focusing on the same thing, top priority. There's no need for estimations. Planning. Build your own system. Forget about Scrum. Go back to the basics. Stop following what everyone else is doing. And remember, you don't need Scrum to be agile. Scrum needs you to be agile. Which brings me to my next point. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now. And I'll see you in a few seconds.